everybody, welcome to Just My Two Cents, and today we're going to be talking about being an essential employee. So first off, I would like to say I am not an essential employee. I used to be an essential employee, but I figured out that being an essential employee wasn't for me. However, I do want to say thank you to all the essential employees right now, whether you're in the medical profession, whether you're working at a grocery store, Amazon, you're driving a truck, delivering food, whatever you're doing right now, thank you, because you are definitely the MVPs right now, and I appreciate you, hopefully, and I know other people do appreciate you, so thank you for that, because y'all are definitely rocking. Y'all rocked before, but y'all are definitely rocking right now. So, also I want to say that when this is over, for people who have been making memes about people who work at Walmart, at Amazon, or people who deliver your food and all this other stuff, stop it. Because we see now that these people, they work very hard, and we don't need to demean them in any type of way. Also, when it's time for promotions, when it's time for raises, when it's time to do something special for them at their jobs, please remember these people, because like I said, they're rocking right now, and we need to remember this once all this is over. Now, let's get to the real reason why I made this video. So, I made this video because I understand what it's like to be an essential employee. And right now, it's a lot of stuff on social media and the internet talking about people signing up to be essential employees and not understanding what it means. I would say, as somebody who signed up to be an essential employee, you understand the basic level of it. You understand there might be an intermediate level. However, you do not understand the magnitude of being an essential employee until you actually get into a situation where you have to stop and put a halt on things, because it's either the job or your life. And when you're deciding on that, a lot of times people will expect you to choose the job over your life. And honestly, you have to pick your life, because you should want to care about yourself. You should want to care about your family. You should want to care about everything that you mean to your community over your job, because your job will be there. Even when, you're gone or whatever, your job gonna be there. But it's important for you to sit back and understand that as an essential employee, because sometimes you definitely have to choose. I mean, we saw that, with the nurse and her quitting. And, I support her decision to quit if that's what she wanted to do. In regards to how she quit, that's up to her. We all do stuff how we want to do it. But if she felt like she was being put in a dangerous situation, and she knew that she was all her kids and her husband and family had, then, kudos for her. And, I appreciate her for thinking about that, because some people will jump. I have personally seen this, by the way. Some people will jump right in the fire and not understand the ramifications of what is going on. For instance, I know this one person. I saw this I wouldn't say with my own eyes, but I know that she told us about this, and I believe it. So it was this one woman I was working with. Me and her, both essential employees. And at this organization, people had a reputation for speeding in the parking lot. The speed limit, I think, was like 10 to 15. And so, like I said, people had a reputation. And this lady was walking one day, and she saw somebody speeding, and this lady kind of just jumped out and hit the car with her hand to kind of get the person to stop speeding. I'm like, first off, why would you jump out in the middle of a moving car that's moving fast, much faster than what you're moving, much heavier than you are, and with the force impact of it, why would you jump out in front of it and hit it with your hand? She's like, well, I just want to tell the driver of the car to stop speeding. It's a speed limit in this parking lot. And she was just smiling, and she just went around telling people all about her, doing this courageous thing. In my mind, I thought it was stupid. Like, you're going to jump out in the middle of a car that's going fast, tap it with your hand to tell the driver to stop. Like, that is the most idiotic thing I ever thought. But you have people like that. Now, I'm not saying everybody's that extreme, because that was definitely an extreme case of whatever. Like, that lady was extreme, and everything she did, she was extreme. But what I'm saying is, you know, sometimes people expect you to kind of do stuff because the people, they were like, if you see people speeding, let us know. Like, make sure you report it, or if you can confront the person. Me, I saw people speeding all the time. I was like, look, they didn't hire me to police stuff, so I'm not about to sit out here in police's parking lot. What I'm going to do is grab my Zaxby's, grab my sweet tea, and go back to my desk. That's exactly what I'm about to do because they didn't hire me for that. I'm not about to be out here getting into it with people over speeding when I don't have not one ticket to give them. What I'm going to do is mind my business, go back to my office, and do what I need to do. And that's exactly what she should have did. If she saw that person speeding, all she had to do was take down the license plate number and just turn it into the chief of police, but she decided not to. And so I'm like, whatever. Well, they have like a chief of police everywhere at the organization. Anyway, so moving forward, that's why I was like, you know, we have to make decisions. And during these decisions, it's very important for us to understand when we're signing up for these jobs, what it is. But sometimes you don't necessarily understand it until you're right in the midst of it. And that's why, with all of this going on, I want to say thank you to the essential employees. But I also want to share my experience of why I figured out being an essential employee wasn't for me. So at the very beginning, I thought it was. I was like, okay, cool. I'm an essential employee. Everybody cool. The job seemed cool. I don't mind being on call. I don't mind working late. I don't mind having to come in during certain times. I didn't mind at all. I didn't mind. However, the first time in my job when I got right out of grad school, I didn't mind until we had to come in during hazardous weather. And so we came in, it was snowing and stuff on the ground, and to be quite honest, they were like, well, we need you all to still come in. I live right across the road. And it was 3 other people in that building who worked with me who lived right across the road, who we worked directly together. So they were like, they were going to walk across the street. I said, and it was like, well, let me start back over. They said that they were going to walk across the street to work instead of driving their cars in the snow. I said that I was going to drive my car over. They said, well, why would you drive your car over when it might slip? And I was like, well, I would prefer my car to slip on the ice or whatever than for my feet. And then because we live on a curve and on a path where people usually go really fast, I would prefer for my car to do that than for my body, simply because if I slip and fall on that ice and snow walking right across the street and a car comes fast forward, hits me, run over me, hey, who knows what happens? So I would rather get in my car, drive extremely slow across the street, get in the park, and get out and do it when it's time to get off. They're like, well, we're just going to walk. I'm like, well, do you? And so, you know, I'm not going to lie. They got there to work much faster than I did. I was late. I was 30 to 45 minutes late. And that's because I had to warm my car up and dig out a path for my car to get out of that snow and ice. Did I mind? No. Did I care? No. Why? Because I would prefer to be in a vehicle and go across the street than for me to use my legs and risk falling on the ice and the snow and a car coming around that curve. Well, they knew cars came around that curve and that hill super fast all the time. So why would I risk doing that anyway? I'm just like, we just need to use some common. And so anyway, that was my first experience. And then also, what really got me about the experience was when we came to work, people who had been there years before us were telling us stories about how they had challenges coming to work. One man said that he was coming to work. He lived, I think, 30 minutes away. He was coming to work and his car kind of lost control on the snow and ice and he went into a ditch. And instead of him going back home and he got pulled out of the ditch, he decided to come in to work anyway. I was like, what? So you go in the ditch and then you still come to work? I would have went right home And well, I would have went to the hospital first to make sure I was okay. And then I would have went home. Because I'm like, to me, that makes no sense. And to me, within the profession that I'm in, like, it's not that serious. Like, it's not that serious for you to sit here and put all that on the line for you to come. I'm like, what about your family? What about yourself? Like, we have to get out of this mindset of we're gonna save everybody else and forget about ourselves, because we have to be healthy in order to help other people. So when I realized that I had to come to work during hazardous weather, I was like, yeah, I don't know if being an essential employee is for me. And then I decided it was time for me to leave that job. And so during that opportunity, I saw that the next job I was interested in, it was essential. And so I kind of let people get to me and talk to me about that. And they were like, well, it's okay, you know, it might be a different experience and it's a higher position. So you never know. It might be even better. Might not have to do all this. And I was like, okay. So from there, I went to the next job. And this is where that lady I mentioned earlier, this is where she kind of worked too. So you can kind of get the gist of the mindset of the people that I was working with who were essential and sometimes non-essential. So being an essential person at this place, I was like, okay, it was pretty much the same. Had to be on call. I knew I had to work late. I knew I had to do some other things that people who weren't essential had to do. I was fine with it. I was cool. Until one day when the buildings and stuff started smoking. So just to kind of set the scene, I woke up that morning and something just felt off. I don't know why, something felt off. And I ended up going to work late that day. I don't know why, I just ended up going to work late because it felt weird. That day felt weird for some reason. And then when I got to work, I saw that I had some text and it said, hey, this building is on fire. I saw I had another text. This building is on fire. I saw I had another text. This building is on fire. So it was 7 buildings where people live and 3 of them was on fire. And they won't say fire. They would say it was smoking. And I was like, that's kind of odd. And then from there, the lights and stuff, all those went out. And then from there, I believe a tornado warning or something had came up, or the weather, it wasn't really good that day. And so I'm sitting here like, at this point, I'm perplexed. I'm like, the building's smoking. We don't know if other buildings are going to catch this smoke and stuff. We don't know if what's going on, how the buildings and stuff are I'm not going to say it was catching on fire, but we didn't know exactly what was going on, how multiple buildings were having the same problem. Then all the lights went off abruptly, and then we got the weather. And I'm like, you know what? This is too much for me. This is too much. And so they were like, well, what we need you all to do is to go to the buildings that we have assigned you and walk them. And I was like, excuse me? They're like, yeah, we need you to go and walk them. We need you to walk from the top to the bottom. Take a break and then go back and walk the top to the bottom. Because we want to make sure that the ones that aren't smoking, you want to make sure that they don't smoke. And I'm like, won't the fire detectors go off? Especially if they're battery powered, like shouldn't they still work or whatever? They're like, yeah, but we still need you all to go and check. So I thought about it. And I said, well, you know what? You kind of need a job. So, I was also like, and you also kind of signed up for this. And I'm like, okay, well, so I went up to the top. I walked around. I didn't see anything. Well, I mean, it was dark anyway. I didn't smell anything. Went down to the next floor. Until I got down to the first floor where my apartment was. And some said, you need to go in there, get your dog. You need to pack up some clothes in case you have to leave for emergency. And you need to go down to the parking lot and turn your car around so that all you have to do is pull out instead of back out in case it's an emergency, more of an emergency rather. So I went, I got my dog, packed my little backpack up, and so me and my dog, we went to the lobby. I sat there for a minute, and at one point I just thought about just leaving and not telling anybody anything, but I said I can't do that. So I went back to where everybody else was with my dog and stuff. And they were like, oh, you brought your dog. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to leave him in there to get burnt up. I'm like, obviously, whatever is going on, we don't know what's causing the smoke. We don't know why the lights went off. All this crazy stuff is happening. I'm not going to leave him in there by himself to just get burnt up. What I am going to do is sit here with everybody else. I'm not going back in that building because I'm not walking around in the dark. And I thought about this. Some of those doors were automatic. So if some of the doors are automatic, and some of the doors are like older too. So it's like if a door gets jammed and it's smoking and stuff in there, and the lights and stuff and the electricity and stuff is off, I'm putting myself in an even more dangerous situation. So I decided to choose myself and my family and my community and stuff. And I decided like, hey, like I'll do what you asked, but it's not going to be exactly like that. And so from there, that's when I realized that being an essential employee, it really takes a special person for them to really want to take on those jobs. And I appreciate them because it took me 2 jobs to realize that I wasn't that person. I went to a meeting the other day and somebody said, shouldn't you be on the essential employee list? I said no. And I think she thought I was being coy about it and nice about it. But I meant what I said. I meant no. Like when I was looking for jobs, when I got tired out, and I said, nope. Because I was like, essential. And that's why I went to sit non-essential down. Like I said, let me get this one right here. Like, seriously, because during emergencies, it'll really test your gangster. It will really test, like, if you for, you and your family, or if you for the job. And my mom always told me and my sister that we are not heroes. Because when you look at Marvel movies, the heroes sometimes, they die. And unlike Marvel movies, in real life, you don't get to come back. You really don't. You don't get to come back. And when somebody else is making a movie or whatever, you just gone. So that's why I decided that it wasn't for me. Simply because I just knew that when it came down to making tough decisions and being in really serious emergency situations, I'm not saying that I wouldn't help out. I would help out. But I'm not going to help out in the magnitude that some of these jobs expect. And I know that sounds horrible, and I know that might sound bad, but like I said, I would never leave somebody hanging. If I can help you, I'm going to help you. But when it comes down to like what those people expected for you to come to work in this ice and snow on the roads and you zigzagging all over the place, that's crazy. That is crazy. How can I help you if I'm zigzagging all over the place and, driving off the road because of snow and ice? That's not safe for your employee. What about, in the next story, talking about going inside of buildings that are just the lights off, all the lights and power off, and not only that, but all the buildings are smoking for some reason. All of them just smoking, and nobody can figure out why. But you still want me to go in the building and act like I'm a firefighter when I have no experience being a firefighter. That's what I'm like. And with those jobs, it was one of those things like I just didn't have the training. And that's probably why I felt like being an essential employee wasn't for me, because I didn't have the training. I didn't have the training needed to go inside of a burning building. That's a firefighter. I didn't have the experience to be driving in a hazardous situation. Even though it was right across the street, like just the experience of it. When you live in the South, you don't have the experience of driving when snow and stuff. So everybody needs to be at home anyway. But still, I didn't have that experience. And so that's why I didn't feel comfortable. I will say, I felt more comfortable in the first situation than the second, because in the second, it really tested my ability to either be for one and the other. I wanted to definitely be for my job at the time, but at the same time, it's like it wasn't safe. And you weren't putting me in a safe situation. And that wasn't the first time that they had did that, because they'll pull that card a lot. Like, oh, you're essential, like, it's yours. You need to do X, Y, and Z. So, I don't even want to get on all that right now. But yeah. So, like I said, thank you to all the essential employees. I understand what you're going through. Much appreciation. If you are an essential employee and you're figuring out this is not for you, definitely thank you for what you have done. And thank you for realizing that. Because The worst thing in the world is to have somebody in a position who is scared, like I was, and figuring out that you don't want to be there because the type of service that you receive is not going to be top tier like those who are really dedicated and those who really want to be there. So like, share, subscribe. If you know somebody who is an essential employee, tell them thank you. If you're working from home, thank you. And let's get through this together. Talk to you all later.